This
small.
conference will now be recorded.
As there aren't much students, I'll try to keep it, and then there is no session. Some of the students have already responded to me in private saying that tomorrow is a new year, so they don't want it to take the session at least tomorrow. Okay, so that was the messages that I have been getting. So tomorrow we will take off, and day after tomorrow we will go a little aggressively, and we'll spend a lot of time from day after tomorrow, guys. So today I'll try to keep it, as I've told you, like, we'll try to keep it little concise. Okay, so let's see, and I try not to cover any important topics today. Okay, so we have been discussing about timers, guys. Okay, so we have been discussing about timers, which is equivalent to think time if you are coming from the LoadRunner world. Okay, so we have discussed about the Gaussian random timer. Okay, so Gaussian random timer. Okay, can somebody please explain if the mean value is 10 seconds and the variance is 2 seconds? Okay, so how does the response times vary, guys? How does the response times vary between 8 and 12 seconds? How much percentage of the time which will be between 8 and 12 seconds, guys? How much percentage of the time it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Can somebody please tell me? Okay, so if the mean value is 10 seconds and the variance is 2 seconds, so between 8 and 12 seconds, how much percentage of the time, it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Oh, I forgot to share the screen. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so share the screen with you. Okay, yeah. So guys, okay, so when we are discussing about GRT as in the Gaussian random timer. Okay, so GRT as in the Gaussian random timer, if you are discussing about the GRT. Okay, okay, again I like to use this one. Okay, so if the mean is 10 seconds and the variance is 2 seconds. Okay, let's assume. Okay, so 10 minus 2 is 8, 10 plus 2 is 12. Between these two, okay, between this window of 8 to 12 seconds, how much of the percentage of time, how much percentage of the time it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Okay, how much percentage it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Can somebody tell me? Okay, let's say you're running the script for 100 times. Okay, you're running the script for 100 iterations. Okay, so out of these 100 iterations, okay, out of these 100 iterations, how many times it will be the response time, the think time will be between 8 and 12 seconds. Out of this 100 times, how many times it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Can somebody please tell me? Out of this 100 times, how many times it will be between 8 and 12 seconds? Okay, mean is 10 seconds, variance is 2 seconds, 10 minus 2, 8, 10 plus 2, 12. So mean plus variance and mean minus variance in this window, and if you are running the script for 100 times, how many times it will be between 8 and 12 seconds, guys? It is 68 times, or 68 percentage, or 68 times it will be between 8 and 12, 8 and 12 seconds. Okay, 68 times. Okay, so, and 8 minus 2, okay, you have an 8 minus 2 is 6, okay, and then 12 plus 2 is 14. Between this, in this window, how many times it will be? Okay, out of 100 iterations, okay, how many times it will be between this window? Any idea, guys? Okay, 95 times, okay, 95 times or 95 percentage, okay, and 6 minus 2 is 4, okay, and then 14 plus 2 is 16. Okay, so between this window, how many times it will be? 99.7 times. Okay, so 99.7 times. Okay, so or the similar percentage. So this is how the Gaussian timer works, guys. Okay, so you give a mean, you give a variance. So mean minus variance, mean plus variance, 68 times or 68 percentage of the times it will be between this window, and 95% of the times it will be between this window, and 99.7 times it will be between this window. Okay, so that's how it will be, guys. So this is what is the GRT. Okay, and What is URT, guys? Any idea? Can somebody unmute themselves and speak? What is a URT? Okay, wonderful, Hibi. It is uniform random time. Okay, so how many parts to that uniform random time? Okay, how many values you have to give when you add this component called uniform, or when you add this timer called uniform random time? How many parts are there for this uniform random time? Okay, there are two parts. Wonderful. Okay, one is the uniform part. Okay, or the constant. I would like to say this as a constant. Okay, constant delay. Okay, and then there is a random part. Okay, I would like to call this as a random delay. Okay, so let's say the uniform part is, let's say, 10 seconds. Okay, and then the random part you have given the value as 5 seconds. Okay, so what is how the response times varies between, what is the window in which the response times vary? Oh, sorry, the think time varies. Okay, what is the window, okay, of time that the timer or the think time varies? Okay, tell me first option, is it between 10 and 15 seconds? Okay, how did I come with 10 and 15 seconds? The constant delay minus the random delay, 10 minus 5, 5, and 10 plus 5, 5. So here is the window. This is the option 1. Option 2 is between 10 and 15 seconds. Okay, so option 1 or option 2? Your timer varies between 5 and 15 seconds or 10 and 15 seconds. Having said that the uniform part is 10 seconds and then the random part is 5 seconds. So your timer or think time varies between 5 and 15 seconds or 10 and 15 seconds. I want to hear from all of you. Okay, 2, yeah, it varies between 10 and 15 seconds, guys, not 5 and 15 seconds. Wonderful. Okay, so this is what we have discussed in the last class, guys. Okay, okay, uniform random timer. Okay, so okay, so today we will discuss about the constant throughput timer, guys. Okay, so the throughput is the output. Okay, so some of the people are already leaving, okay, because they got overwhelmed. I don't know. Okay, so this is something I was just giving a recap as to what we have discussed in the last class. I was not talking about anything else. Okay, so now today, okay, so we will discuss about the constant throughput timer, guys. Okay, pay attention. Then we will talk about the synchronizing timer, and we will try to get into the assertions part if the time permits. Okay, so the constant throughput timer, as the name suggests, the throughput is output. It will control the output or the number of samples. Okay, number of target, you see, target throughput in samples per minute. If you give it as 5, you know, the output, it will try to maintain it as 5. Okay, you see, the constant throughput timer calculates and introduces the delay between samplers so as to keep the throughput at a configured value. If the configured value is 5, it will try to keep it as 5 samplers per minute. Okay, throughput means output. So how much output you want, you can give there, and so that it will maintain that kind of output. Okay, it will maintain that kind of output. So let me demonstrate this for you rather than explaining it. If I demonstrate it, it will be good for you. I mean, it will be easy to understand. Okay, so let me take this same script, which is random.jmx. Okay, and let me create a simple thread group. Okay, here is thread group represents the script, guys. Thread group as in it represents the script. Let me call this as demo of throughput timer. Okay, so okay, so here I'll just try to add only one single what do I say, uh, okay, so only one sampler I will try to add it. Okay, so I'll try to add only one sampler to this. Okay, so in this particular script, let's assume there is only one sampler, which is the launch. Okay, now I would want it to control the output of this launch, or I would want it to control as to how many launches are happening per every minute. Okay, what I wanted to do, guys, now in this particular script, I want to control, okay, how many launches are happening every minute. Okay, so I wanted to control, I wanted to control this. Okay, let's say I wanted to have only 6 launches to happen for every minute. So what I will do is, okay, inside this I'll add the timer called a throughput timer. Can you see there is something called a constant throughput timer? Okay, over here, target throughput in samples per minute. Okay, so as I've told you, I want 6 launches to happen for every minute. So you give this 6 here. You see, in samples per minute. So it will control in minute. Okay, so this thread only. So it will be for only this thread. Okay, which means that for that particular user. Okay, so there are options for all active threads in the current thread group, active threads shared, active threads in the current thread pool shared. Okay, so let's say by default it will be for this thread only. Thread usually means the number of users, so it will be for this user. Okay, so for one user you are controlling 6 of this. Okay, so that's what this means. Okay, but we'll demonstrate that as well, not an issue. Okay, now what happens as I execute, there will be 6 launches which will happen for every minute. Why will it be 6? Because that's the number that you gave here. Okay, that's the number that you gave here. So automatically the timer or the think time will be adjusted accordingly as per the output. Okay, if you give 7, the timer will be adjusted so that the output is 7. If you give 4, the timer will be added accordingly. Okay, so that the output will be 4. Okay, are we clear with this, guys? Are we clear with this? Okay, so this timer will control the output, or how many times will control the throughput, or how many times that particular sampler will be executed. It automatically gets controlled. Okay, are we clear with this part, guys? All of you? Okay, so let me let me add the listeners. Okay, view results tree I'll add. Actually, to look at the output exactly, what I need is an aggregate report, but I'll try to add you see, in the aggregate report there is a column called throughput. So here you will be able to see how many are happening. Okay, so that's the reason why I've added the aggregate report listener, so that I'll be able to look it up, or I'll be able to calculate it per minute how many are happening from this view results tree as well. Or maybe you can add, to be on the safe side, you can add the other listeners as well. Okay, usually summary report will be added, and also one more usually used one is view results in the table. So these are the regular listeners that will be used by pretty much everybody. Okay, so view results tree, aggregate report, view results in the table, and summary report. All of them will give more or less the same information, but in a different formats, in different uh, um, in a different formats. Okay, so you can pick and choose which one you want. I've already explained the differences of all these listeners, okay, in one of my class. Okay, now let's go ahead and execute to see, okay, what will happen, how many launches will be executed per minute. So now if I execute, what is that I can expect, guys? How many launches should I expect per minute to be executed? How many launches per minute should be executed, guys? Hello, knock knock. How many launches am I expecting, guys? Okay, 6, because that's what you gave here. Okay, 6 because that's what you gave here. So you can note down the time, guys, 7:34, and you can see in 1 minute how many it will be executed. That is one way, or I'll tell you the other ways as well. Okay, here instead of one, here you see I'm running this particular thread group, okay, with only one user and for only one iteration. That's not what I want. I want it to execute at least 6 times. Okay, so that in 1 minute I will know how many it is. Rather than that, just say infinite, so that it will continue to execute as long as I want it. Okay, now with one, I'm running this with only one user. Per minute, I am expecting 6 launches to be done. Let's see what happens. Oh, why does it say 2? It is saying 2 users. Maybe it is executing this one as well. Okay, so that's not what I want. Yeah, it's executing this one as well. So, okay. So that we can confirm using, okay, um, hang on. Okay, only 2 of 1 is running. I'm not sure why it is saying 2, because this one is active as well. Okay, even though it's not executing, it is active as well. That's why it is showing 2. But okay, yeah, both the users are executing, because you see this view results tree is on the test plan level, which will capture the results for both this one and this one. But this view results tree is only on this particular thread group level, so it is capturing only sorry, it is capturing only the content or the launches or the samplers on this level. So yeah, even though the 2 users are running here, one user is belonging to this purchase the product script and the other user is belonging to this demo of the throughput timer. But this view results tree and these listeners are on this particular level, on this thread group level, as you can see here. Okay, all these 4 listeners are on this particular thread group level, so it will capture the activity of only this particular thread group. Okay, so we are good. Even though these 2 users are running, whatever the results that you are seeing is only for this particular user. Okay, now you see we don't know in this one minute how many have been executed. Ideally we wanted 1 2 3 4 5 6 to be executed, but we were not keeping track of the time. Okay, the best way to look for is here. Okay, you see how much is the throughput which is happening. Okay, close to 6. Okay, you see per minute 6.5 launches are happening. That's what it means. What is the throughput? Per minute 6.5 launches are happening. That is confirmed by this number over here. Even though you gave it as 6, it cannot be exactly 6. There will be little bit of variance. Okay, it will be between, expect little bit of variance. It's close to 6. So you see 6.4 per minute are happening. Okay, so if you wanted to control the output, okay, if you wanted to see how many of that samplers needs to be executed, you can give a constant throughput timer. Automatically the timer will be adjusted so that whatever the output you want, you will get it. Okay, or maybe you keep a track of time exactly in seconds and see how many launches are happening per minute. You can do that as well. Okay, but I need some sort of timer which is in seconds and minutes, so that once you on, you'll be able to count exactly in 1 minute how many launches are happening. But you need not have to do it. The Jmeter itself is doing and giving it to me in the form of a throughput. Okay, in the form of a throughput. Are we clear, guys, as to how the throughput timer works? Are we clear? Yeah, can I go to the next topic, or you have you want to play around, or you have any suggestions here? Okay, we can do that. All of you guys, I want everybody to talk to me. Looks good to you? Okay, wonderful. So this is just the timers, guys. It's the think time, but here you're controlling the output using the think time. Anyways, okay, wonderful. Okay, now the next one, the next timer, okay, is the synchronizing timer. Okay, is the synchronizing timer. Okay, okay, synchronizing timer. Synchronizing timer synchronizes what? Synchronizes the users. These users in Jmeter we call them as threads. Okay, so it synchronizes the user. So basically it stops the user and releases all the users at once, guys. So this is similar. Okay, if you're coming from the LoadRunner world, it is similar to what, guys? The synchronizing timer is similar to what? As I've told you, it is synchronizing the users, which means that it is stopping all the users and releasing at once. If I say this, stopping all the users and releasing at once, okay, so in LoadRunner, what is that which stops all the users and releases all the users at once, guys? Okay, so 3 of them already answered. It is the rendezvous point, RENDEZVOUS. random point. So just like we have a random point in LoadRunner, okay, we have synchronizing timers in the Jmeter. The function is same, just the name is different. Different tools like to call this as different names. Okay, LoadRunner would like to call this as a random point. Okay, here Jmeter is calling this as a synchronizing timer. Okay, in one of the interview, an interviewer has asked, I wanted to hold all the users and release all the users at once. Is it possible in Jmeter? Okay, so yes, it is possible in Jmeter. Obviously, it is possible in LoadRunner. We have to put a random point. It is possible in Jmeter as well. You have to put a synchronizing timer. You have to put a synchronizing timer. Okay, let's try to do this one, guys, here. Okay, so here the same script. Okay, let me change this to demo of, okay, synchronizing timer. Let's try to put it. Okay, and then let me delete all this and then move all the relevant what do I say, samplers here. Okay, so what do I do is, okay, I'll move the click, okay, login, and only the logout. Okay, so these samplers, okay, I'll try to move it into my demo. Okay, wonderful, guys. So instead of recording, I'm making use of the existing script. Okay, so what this will do now, it will launch, it will click on the sign in button, it will log in and log out. Okay, so simple login and logout script is what we have. Okay, I wanted to synchronize before the login. Okay, just before the login I wanted to synchronize. So let me put a synchronizing timer for the login. Okay, let me put the synchronizing timer for the login. Okay, so we have a synchronizer, the synchronizing timer before the login, and synchronize how many users? Okay, number of simulated users to be grouped by. So let's say I wanted to synchronize 2 users. The random point is for only 2 users. Okay, timeout, maybe you can say 100 milliseconds. Okay, 100 milliseconds is 0.1 seconds. So it will wait for only 0.1 seconds before it will time out. Okay, it will wait for only 0.1 seconds before it timeouts. Timeouts means what? The one user has come to the synchronizing point. The other user has not come yet. This one user will wait how long? 0.1 seconds before it timeouts and goes ahead and executes the login. Okay, before it times out and goes and executes the login. Okay, so again I'll try to explain this timeout, guys. Okay, so we have a launch transaction. Okay, we have a click on sign in transaction. Okay, then we have a login transaction, and then we have a logout transaction. Okay, so we have put a synchronizing timer where? Here, synchronizing timer, we have put the synchronizing timer on the login. Okay, now you see first user has executed the launch, click on the click transaction, click on the sign in. Now this user 1, okay, is waiting here. Okay, user 1 is waiting here. Waiting for what? Waiting for what? User 2. Why it will wait for user 2? Because you said you wanted to synchronize with 2 users. Okay, so what it will do, the user 2, okay, has started here, he's executed the launch, it executed the click, and before this 0.1 seconds, user 2 has also reached this user 1 or reached this synchronizing timer. Then these 2 users together will execute the login. But for whatever the reason, in 0.1 seconds, okay, in 0.1 seconds, user 2 is still executing this particular transaction, which is click on sign in, and in 0.1 seconds it didn't reach this synchronizing timer. Then what this user 1 will do, user 1, okay, what this user 1 will do, user 1 will time out and go ahead and execute the login, and only one user will go ahead and execute the login. So because it has waited for that how many seconds? 0.1 seconds, and this user 2 has never reached the synchronizing point in that 0.1 seconds. So it will time out and the user 1 will go ahead and do its work, which is the login transaction. But in case before this timeout, which is 0.1 seconds, the user 2 has reached the synchronizing timer. then user 1 and user 2 together will execute the login transaction. Are we clear with this part, guys? Are we clear with this part? And then the timeout thing, are we clear with the timeout? Okay. I want to hear from all of you guys, please. It just takes, little efforts to say yes or no, not much. Just say Y or N. Okay. I'm sure. I know. I'll ask this multiple times. I'll ask the questions for every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But it just takes little bit of efforts. Just on the keyboard you have to just press Y. That's it. Okay. So that kind of confirms that you're still listening to the class. Okay. This way I know how many people are actually listening, because some people will just join and they will be in their own world. Okay. So I know how many are listening. Okay. At least I know that I'm speaking to people. Okay. So there are 13 students and still there are only 5 yeses or 6 yeses. Okay. I want everybody to respond, guys. Okay. Okay, wonderful guys, wonderful. Okay, so let me go ahead and demonstrate. So now 2 users are supposed to execute this login transaction. Okay, you can put 3 users, 4 users or 5 users or whatever it is. Okay, now let me run this script with 5 users. Okay, out of these 5 users, only 2 users will execute the login transaction together and the other 3 users will be there with their own world. Okay, and ramp up period, let's say we'll give it as 2 seconds, not 2 seconds. Yeah, ramp up period we'll give it as 2 seconds, and then synchronizing. Okay, yeah, synchronizing, the timeout we will give it as 500 milliseconds. Okay, now let's see. We are running for infinite times. Okay, so this one also will disable it, otherwise even this one user is getting executed, which I don't want. Okay, so now let me execute this particular thread group here. Okay, let me execute this particular thread group. It runs with 5 users with a ramp up period of 2. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this. Now let's see how many users have ramped up. All the 5 users have ramped up. Okay, let's see how the randover point is getting executed. Okay, so okay, hang on guys. The results of the previous is also there, so you might get confused. So ignore these results, guys. Ignore these results. These results are from previous execution. I haven't cleared it. So the results of the previous execution is also there. Okay, on my listeners. Okay, so we can ignore these results. What I am interested is on these results which says demo of the synchronizing timer. Okay, so I want 2 users to log in at the same point of time. Okay, so 2 users to log in at the same point of time. I'm interested in this login. Okay, so these 2 users you see here, these 2 users have logged in at the same time. Okay, at the same milliseconds as well. You see, this is hour, minute, second, and this is milliseconds. At the same millisecond, okay, these 2 users have logged in. Okay, so these 2 have synchronized itself. Okay, and then you see, and how do I know these are different users? Okay, you can look it up from here. Okay, okay, so this represents the group, the thread group is 1, and this represents after hyphen whatever it represents is the user. So this is the user 1 and user 2. Both these users have synchronized and logged in at the same point of time. Okay, now let's see if there are any other synchronized. Okay, there is one more synchronization that has happened over here. You see, the user 4 and user 3, they have synchronized at the same time and logged in at the same point of time. Okay, and then there is one more synchronization over here. You see, the user 1 and user 2 have logged in at the same point of time. Okay, so here also there is more synchronization. User 3 and user 2 have synchronized and logged in at the same point of time. Okay, so like this, you can look at it. There will be multiple examples wherein different users who are synchronized and executed that particular thing at the same point of time. Or maybe there could be little difference in the milliseconds, that also I've observed. Not in the seconds, but milliseconds, there will be slight difference, especially if you go with a lot of users. There will be a small difference between this milliseconds, but milliseconds is acceptable, guys. Okay. Looks like there are 4 of them which are synchronized here. Okay, so these 2 have synchronized together, and these 2. Okay, you see 810, 810. So these 2 have synchronized, and 663, 663. These 2 have synchronized. So like this, synchronization happens, guys. 62, 63. Or is it? Let me see. Oh, there is a little difference, okay? That's what I have been telling you. You see, this is milliseconds. In the milliseconds, you are looking at the 3rd digit. Okay, Gaurav. Okay, this is hours, minutes, seconds, and these are milliseconds. Even in the milliseconds, okay, this is the microsecond that you are talking about. Okay, so that is Gaurav. Okay, that is acceptable. Okay, so it is, yeah, it is not even 1 millisecond. It is 0.001 millisecond. Okay. So it's not even 1 millisecond. If you want 1 milliseconds, this has to be 0.5 and this has to be 0.6. Okay, but this 521 milliseconds is 520 milliseconds. So this will be 0.001 millisecond difference. Okay, do you agree with me, Gaurav? That is what I'm telling you. I've observed these kind of things. Thanks that you brought it up. Okay, so it's not even in milliseconds. It is like 0.001 milliseconds. There will be some difference which is acceptable. Okay, because this is not even millisecond difference. This is like a microsecond maybe the difference. Okay, that is acceptable. Okay. Millisecond, then usually that's not how they synchronize. Not in, there will not be millisecond difference. This is like 0.001 milliseconds, there will be a difference. Okay, so this is what is the synchronization, guys. Okay, wherever you want the synchronization you can put, or there is another way. We always know how to put a sampler flow control action. Okay, and then inside the flow control action you can put the synchronizing timer. I hope this one works as well. I've never tried this, to be honest. I always used to put it inside the sampler that I wanted, but I'm sure this one should work as well. Okay, so let me see if this works as well. Okay, but for this, first let me clear all the existing log on all my listeners. Okay, this is double, so let me delete this. Okay. Okay, so let me clear. This one will only clear this listener. Okay, if I use this one, this will only clear this listener. Okay, so to clear all the listeners, the best way to do is just say clear all, so that it clear all the listeners. Okay, now let's see the synchronization happens for the login. The only difference what I have done is I have added a flow control action. Inside that I've added the synchronizing timer. I'm sure this one should work as well, but let's see. Instead of aggregate report, oh, all this activity has just happened now. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's see synchronization is happening or not. Okay, you see 2 logins have executed at once. These 2 logins are executing at once. Wonderful. These 2 launches, they are not executed at once. No. Okay, these 2 logins are executing at once. Okay, so this one also works by adding the flow control action. Inside the flow control action, you add the synchronizing timer. It works. I've just demonstrated. I would advise, if this, since this is working, I would advise add the flow control action inside that synchronizing timer, so that you know exactly where that synchronizing timer is. Somebody looking at the test plan, they right away know where the synchronizing timer is. So I will appropriately name this. Okay, synchronizing. Okay, for login. Okay, transaction with 2 users. Okay, so that as soon as I look at it, I know what is happening here. Nice. Okay, and 9. Okay, so somebody or you yourself probably looking at this script, you right away know that you have a synchronization timer here. Okay, so you have appropriately named it. Okay, and you also look at how many users you have synchronized with. I'm just naming it, guys. It's not mandatory, but it's better you name it, so that your lead or manager looking at it, they right away know that you have added a random point with 2 users. Okay, so I would advise, since this so flow control action is working, I would advise to go with this, so that your script looks more descriptive to yourself at the later point of time. Okay, are we clear this? So somebody who missed the last two classes, they might not understand the flow control action. You have to look into my last two classes to understand what is the flow control action. It's not big difference. Okay, so instead of adding it inside the sampler, okay, you wanted it between these two samplers, the same synchronization to a timer to be there. So you add the flow control action. Inside the flow control action, you add the synchronizing time. Inside the flow control action, you add the synchronizing time. Okay guys, are we clear with this part guys? All of you? Are we clear with this one? All of you? Can I move to the next part? Okay. Wonderful guys. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so can we take a break now? Okay, we expect the class to go a little longer. Should we take a break now or should we continue? Okay, break? Yeah, okay. So let's take a 10 minutes break. I'll come back in 10 minutes. Okay, and then after 10 minutes, we'll start the assertions, guys. Okay, assertions are equivalent to checkpoints. Okay, assertions are equivalent to what? Okay, so assertions is what we will discuss after the break, and that is equivalent to checkpoints if you are coming from the LoadRunner world. Okay, so we'll go through few of the assertions if possible today, at least one or two of them. Multiple assertions. We'll try to play around with some of them or most of them. Okay, so yeah, come back after the break, guys. Okay, I'll keep you on mute. Hello, can you hear me? Can we get started now? Hello? Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. So we'll get started with the assertions now. Okay, as I've told you, assertions are nothing but the checkpoints. Okay, so you can have a text checkpoint here, or there are different kinds of checkpoints which we will, or different kinds of assertions. As you proceed further, we'll look into most of them or all of them. Okay, let's explore what kind of assertions we have. Okay, so let me try to add an assertion to this particular sampler here. Okay, so you see there's a bunch of assertions. I'll not be able to explain all of them, but I'll try to explain some of them. Okay, the others you can explore it yourself. It's not that difficult, to be honest, guys. Okay, it's pretty simple. Okay, like the size assertions or the compare assertions, duration assertions, you'll be able to do it yourself. Okay, but the most popular and regularly used one is the response assertion, guys. That's what I will try to concentrate in the class. Okay, what is that? The response assertion. Okay, JSON assertion definitely used for if the response is in the JSON format. Okay, size assertion is, you know, how much size it has to be. You can give that kind of thing. Okay, duration assertion is they're referring to the response times. Okay, and HTML assertion, it will check the HTML format. Okay, so that kind of things are there. Okay, but let me let me explain the response assertion. Okay, and the other assertions, you know, I'll give it as an homework to you. Okay, so the response assertion itself takes a lot of time because a lot of factors to it. So let's look at this response assertion and spend as much time as possible in this response assertion, guys. Okay, so response, as I've told you, the assertion is nothing but the checkpoint. Okay, assertion is nothing but the checkpoint sort of thing. Okay, so now, okay, so in the response assertion, if you look at it, okay, you can apply the assertion to main sample and subsamples. Okay, so main sample is the main embedded resource and the subsample is all the other embedded resources. Okay, main sample only means the main URL, subsamples only means which all the embedded resources, and Jmeter variable name to use is, let's say there is some value that will be stored in a particular Jmeter and you wanted to check what is the value that needs to be stored in the Jmeter, you know, if that value is there or not, then you can use this Jmeter variable name to use, which I will explore at the later point of time. Okay, but these three are straightforward, guys, so I need not have to explain. Typically we can put a main sample only, by default that's what they are suggesting, so we can put an assertion in the main sample only. Okay, but this option, which is Jmeter variable name to use, we'll try to explore a little bit. Okay, so at the later point of time. Now you see field 2 with texted, there are a bunch of them. We'll try to explore some of them. Okay, we'll try to explore some of them. Okay, first thing, typically all the performance testers or Jmeter experts uses the text response. Okay, the text response as to what it is. Okay, so you see, so we are putting an assertion in the main sample, and that too for the text response, and you can check whether, you know, the text response contains or matches or equals to or substring. Okay, so basically contains is the safest option, so I'll go with the contain. Okay, now whenever the launch happens, okay, let me browse this demo picker. Okay, okay, so this is the launch, I believe. Okay, this is the launch. You can see here is the launch. Maybe you can see if this is launch or not. Maybe click on any of the launch response, and then here instead of text you can put an HTML. Okay, and use the response body. So you see here is the response for the launch. Here is the response for the launch, which is more or less the same thing, I believe. Yeah, sign in. Okay, and then there is a search button, and then the salt water, fresh water. Is there anything called salt water, fresh water? Okay, various breeds. Yeah, you have various breeds here. So more or less, you know, this is what is the launch. Okay, so you can put a text checkpoint on any of the text. So let's try to put the text checkpoint on various breeds. Okay, let's try to put the text checkpoint on various breeds. So what I'm saying is, if the launch, if this request, for this launch request, if we get the correct response, then this is what the response has to be. And if this is what the response has to be, then you will see a text, definitely you will see a text called various breeds. Definitely you will see a text called various breeds. So that's what you're putting the text checkpoint on. That's what you're putting a text checkpoint on. Okay, so by putting this, what does this response assertion, which is various breeds, will do? Response assertion will do. What does it do? Once this request has been sent and once you get the response, in that response it will search for this text called various breeds. In that response it will search for this text called various breeds. In case if you get the right response, definitely this text called various breeds will be there. So that's what it will check, and if this text called various breeds is there, then it will mark this particular sampler as a pass, else it will fail this particular sampler. Are we clear, guys? Are we clear? This is exactly the way the text checkpoint works in LoadRunner. So what it will do, in the response of this launch request, it will search for the text called various breeds. You see, text response contains various breeds. If it contains various breeds, then definitely it will mark it as pass. And if it doesn't contain the various breeds, it will mark it as fail. Okay, so what did I do? I've added the response assertion inside this particular sampler, and then I said check for the main sample only, and you check for what? Text responses. In the text response, I'll check for if the text response contains various breeds. Okay, hang on guys, one second. Nikhil. Just a moment, guys. So there is an important call that I had to take. Okay, just give me one moment. So in the response of this launch, it will search for the text called various breeds, and if the text is found, then it will mark this sampler as passed, else it will mark this sampler as failed. Okay, so that's what this means, guys. Are we clear with this aspect, guys? All of you? Have you understood this aspect? All of you? Okay. Are we clear, guys? Or should I explain, or should I go again? Okay, this works just like your text checkpoint. Okay, it will search in the response of that particular request if the text is there or not. Okay, so you have to select a right text and put that right text here. How do I select the right text? For this launch, what is the response that you are intended? Okay, go to that response and pick up any of this text. Okay, pick up any text from there. I've chosen for the launch page. Here is the response, and I've selected this text. Maybe you can select this text, maybe you can select this text, maybe you can select this text, maybe you can select this text. Okay, any of the text which is there in the response, you can select it. Or the better way to select the text is go to the view results tree, go to the response, and go to the text response, not the HTML. HTML response also works, but go to the text response and then probably select any text from here. Okay, you see various breeds, that text or freshwater, that text. Okay, welcome is there, that text, welcome content is there, that text. You can select any text from here. You see exotic varieties. Okay, if you get the right response, this is the intended response that we are looking at. So you can select any text from this launch response. From the launch response, you can select any text and you can put that text as a text checkpoint. Okay, that is the better way of doing it. Go to the view results tree, go to the launch, go to the response data, go to the response body, and in the response body, select some text which makes sense to you. Okay, maybe birds, okay, maybe fish, okay, maybe just now we said maybe welcome. You can select any of the text here, or maybe you can go to the page and then select from the page as well. But I would advise go to the text response and select the text. Okay, go to the view results tree, make sure this is text, and go to the response body and select a particular text from here, so that it makes more sense. Okay, so you can do that as well. Now let's see if the response assertion is passed or not. Okay, if the response assertion is passed or not. I don't need the synchronizing timers here, but let it be there, guys, and it's not going to hurt me. So let's go ahead and run this and see if this assertion is a pass or fail. Okay, watch carefully here. You don't see any indication of this assertion point, guys. Whatever the response assertion that you have added, you will not be able to see any indication of that in any of these listeners. Okay, so you will not be able to see if that assertion has been executed or what happened with that assertion. You will not be able to see that. Okay, but you wanted to see it with your own eyes. Let me run this. Let me run it with only one user. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and run it. So it is running for infinite time, guys. Okay, so you see, you have put the assertion, the response assertion on the launch. You don't see any indication of that in the view results tree. You have the you got this log that the launch has been executed, and you got the request and the response body and the response header, but nowhere over here it says anything about the response assertion. Even you look at the sampler results, you will not be able to see anything about the assertion. Okay, you will not be able to see anything about the assertion. Okay, if you go to the aggregate report also, you will not be able to see anything about the assertion. You go to the view results tree, you will not be able to see anything about the assertion. Okay, so then Kumar, how do we know that? Okay, how do we know that what happened with the assertion, whether it has passed or whether it is failed or what is happening? Oh Kumar, maybe there might be one more listener for assertion. Probably that could be the reason why they are not adding any relevant content in any of these listeners. Probably it has its own listener. Okay, if that is what your doubt is, okay, I'll agree with you. Let me search in the listeners if there is anything related to the assertion. Okay, so so you see view results tree, summary report, backend listener, aggregate graph, aggregate results, comparison, generate summary report, graph results. Okay, so response time graph, save results to the file, simple data, right? Oh, there should be one here. Okay, I was thinking there should be one. Ah, here, assertion results. I've already spoken about it and I missed it. You see, assertion results. There is one listener. There is one listener called assertion results. Wonderful. I've added that listener. Okay, I've added that listener as well, which is the assertion results. Okay, so there should be some activity this time around when I run it. There should be some activity of or some mention of this response assertion, whether it is passed, failed, executed, whatever it is, there should be some indication of it on this assertion results. Do you agree with me, guys? Let's see if there will be something. Do you agree with me, guys? Now there is a separate listener for assertions. Okay, assertion results. Okay, so maybe there should be some activity related to this assertion results to be added over here or logged over here. Okay, so let me clear all the content. Okay, instead of running it forever, maybe let's run it for only 10 iterations. Okay, so let's run it for only 10 iterations. Okay, we expect some activity to related to these assertions. Some activity should be there, or some activity should be logged here in this assertion results. Let's see if that is happening or not. Okay, again, okay, this assertion results, it is just showing all the samplers, but it is not showing anything related to that particular assertion. I've added only one assertion. If you look at this whole script, guys, I've added only one assertion. Okay, and that too for the launch, and we expect to see some indication or some activity of that to be mentioned in that assertion results. Even if you added a listener, which is the assertion results specifically for the assertion, but there is no activity that has been added related to this assertion response assertion. Why? Because that's how the tool has been designed. Okay, if there is a pass, if your assertion is passed, then there will be no indication of that in any of the listeners. But if assertion is failed, definitely there will be an indication, guys. Definitely there will be an indication. Just to demonstrate that, what I will do is I'll purposefully make this assertion fail. How I can make this assertion fail? I can do various things. Maybe I can change the URL so that it will not hit the right URL, so that you will get some other response. In that some other response, definitely you will not be able to see this response called various prints. So I've changed this URL to something else. So definitely it will go hit somewhere else, and you will get some other response, not the intended response, and you will not be able to see the various breeds. Definitely this assertion will fail now. Okay, now I've changed the URL. Definitely the assertion will change. So let's look at it, what if there is any activity of that. Okay, oh, this assertion is added on the okay. Okay guys, hang on 1 second. uh, Now you see I've added the assertion not for the launch but on the thread group level, which means that this assertion will be applied to all the samplers. I don't want this assertion to be applied to all the users. I want this assertion to be applied only to the launch. So I have to add it inside the launch. If I add it outside the launch, this response assertion will be applied to all the samplers. That's what was happening. So maybe let me add this assertion only to this particular sampler here, only to that particular sampler here. Okay. Now let's see what is the activity, guys. Let's run it for only one iteration. 10 iterations is overwhelming. Okay. So now you see launch response assertion, test failed, text expected to contain various bits. So you see, if the assertion has failed, it will tell you that the assertion has failed. But if it is passed, it will never tell you that it's passed. Okay, only if it's failed, then it will give you that it is failed, and you clearly see that response assertion test failed. Why it is failed? Because test is expected to contain various bits, so obviously it doesn't contain. So that's the reason why the response assertion is failed. Since the response assertion is failed, it is marking this as it is marking the relevant sampler as failed. It is marking the relevant sampler as failed. Okay. Are we clear, guys? Are we clear? Okay. And it will tell you as to why the failure is there here. Okay. Assertion error false, assertion failure true, assertion failure message, text expected to contain various bits. Again, if it is failure, then definitely in the view results tree as well, it will tell you why something is failed. But it has passed, it will not tell you anything. But if it is passed, it will not talk anything about passing. Okay. Now it will pass, and you see there is no mention of it anywhere. There is no mention of it anywhere. It just passes the sampler, and if the sampler is passed, then definitely the assertion is passed is what you have to what that implicates, or what you have to assume. Okay. So are we clear, guys? Are we clear? Or should I demonstrate this response assertion for one more sampler? Are we clear, or should I demonstrate this response assertion for one more sampler? What do you say? So guys, yeah, clear? Okay. Let's stop here, guys. Okay, so there is no class tomorrow, and day after tomorrow expect the whole class to be there. Okay, all the 25 members, and we will continue with the other options. Okay, we'll explore the response code, we explore the response message headers. Okay, so and request headers and URL sample, we try to explore all these options. Okay, in the next class. Okay, and if possible, if there are other assertions like size assertion and all that, we'll try to explore those as well. Okay, maybe not in detail, but try to explore as much as possible. Okay, any questions, guys? Any questions? Any questions? Happy New Year to everybody, guys. Thank you, Narendra. And once again, advance New Year wishes to everybody, guys. Have a wonderful New Year. Celebrate and come back to me with a lot of, and come back to the class, with a lot of energy. Okay. And I hope whoever doesn't have a job at this point of time, they get the job in IT, each and every one of them in this new year. And whoever already have the job, I hope that their career you will have a wonderful career in this new year and get very good salaries as well. Okay, thank you guys, thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah, thanks very much. I expect my institute grow bigger this year. Okay, thank you.